Hello, and welcome back to Rise on the Run.
Last week we were in Advance, North Carolina.
Let's check out what happened. It took us 7 hours to get from the Outer Banks to Advance, North Carolina. The campground was nice, and we got a huge front yard.
At the campground there was a bingo game in the lodge. It was 25 cents a board. Kids got a ticket for a scoop of ice cream or a candy bar. The grown-ups had to do a special bingo pattern, but they got the money from the bingo cards if they won. It was fun.
We went to Elevation Church on Sunday. It is part of another bigger church, so we watched the service on TV after some live worship. Then we went to Biscuitville for lunch. The girls got to watch the biscuits being made. They had some pretty good breakfast food. After lunch, we went to Boone's Cave State Park. The cave was Daniel Boone's hiding place. We went inside and found this little bat, but we did not know if it was dead or just sleeping. Then we walked around the park some more.
I met some nice friends at the campground. I was in Arizona with my grandma and uncle for 2 weeks. I came back in the middle of my family's time in Advance, North Carolina. My dad picked me up. At the campground, there were some beautiful butterflies who hung out with my bunny when he was outside. The day after I got back, we went to the Transportation Museum. We went with 2 full-time families besides ourselves. There was also a cat who followed us around and loved being pet. There were a lot of artifacts from trains and railroads, including a lot of old cars, trucks, trains, stagecoaches, and airplanes. The museum used to be a very busy place. It was called Spencer Shops and did a lot of repairs on steam locomotives. When the diesel engine came out, they were put out of business. There were many of the trains they had once worked on from 1896 to 1970. There was a movie that played some of the history about Spencer Shop that we watched. It was a good outing. One day we went fishing at the lake in our campground. We didn't catch anything, but there were a lot of turtles.
On our last day in Advance, we went to the Billy Graham Library. Billy Graham was a famous preacher and evangelist from the mid-1900s to the early 2000s. The tour took us through multiple exhibits based on different parts of his life and ministry. There were lots of cool artifacts from his life, and the exhibits were very well done. After, we browsed through the very big bookstore and had shakes at the restaurant. Billy Graham's childhood home was moved right next to the library, so we got to see inside. Before we left, we visited the gravesites of Billy Graham and his wife, Ruth.
This week's extra expenses were relatively scant, which serves me just fine. Thousand Trails was beautiful, and we were lucky enough to get a brand new spot. And Biscuitville was pretty darn good for fast food breakfast.
The Billy Graham Library was very interesting.
See you next time on Rise on the Road.
Bye!